This commercial is putting in overtime for how much work it accomplishes, and I'm going to use it to push back against one of the most overstated complaints about the Mario movie, being that it's poorly paced. Now, is it fast-paced? Absolutely. But that isn't inherently a bad thing. Just as how one of the most critically acclaimed films of all time, being 2001: A Space Odyssey, is famously incredibly slowly paced. The only thing slower is spending hours herding goats in Twilight Princess. But the thing is, that slower pace works for what that movie is, being a purposefully contemplated journey as to the nature of humanity itself. Now obviously, the Mario movie isn't that deep, but its pace works for what it is, being a lighthearted adventure based on a series of games in which forward progression is always happening. As I've already explored in the prior videos of this series, the essential ingredients you need for a movie are all here, but it doesn't spend any longer cooking them than it needs to. It's ruthlessly efficient, which I admit can be a little disorienting upon the first viewing, as nearly every scene introduces some kind of new element. Heck, I even felt similarly upon my first viewing. The movie does have a breakneck pace, which isn't necessarily a negative, but there were a few times where I'm like, I wish you would let this breathe a little bit more. But then a funny thing happened. I watched it again, because just like the games, this movie is highly rewatchable. And nearly every complaint I had completely melted away, as the time spent on each scene just felt right. The story has a constant sense of forward momentum, with clear character-driven goals, and it never once leaves you feeling like it's spinning its wheels. From how it immediately sets up the villain and the overall threat that he poses in the very first scene, to how it effortlessly ties together Mario and Peach's separate motivations into a common goal, being to stop Bowser in order to rescue Luigi and save the Mushroom Kingdom respectively. Every major step needed along that path is purposefully explained in advance, so you're never left wondering what the point of it all is. The story is truly conveyed effortlessly, and that might partially explain why it feels so brisk, because the movie's doing a lot of work without feeling like it. Take, for example, just how efficient the opening few minutes of the movie are in setting up the story, world, and characters, as the movie immediately makes clear the threat that Bowser poses with his massive airship, giant army, and capability to melt an entire kingdom, as he lays claim to the item he was after, the Superstar, or Chekhov's star in this case, as it'll come back into play at the very end of the movie. Bowser even teases its capability.
No one can stop me!
So it won't come as a complete surprise later on for anyone unfamiliar with the games. Then immediately following the opening scene, we're introduced to our heroes, Mario and Luigi, but by way of a commercial for their plumbing business, which communicates so much with so little, while being a ton of fun in the process. Not only does it seamlessly convey their wants and self-driven nature of starting a business, which is an especially important part of Mario's character arc, but it also communicates just how broke they are, with amateurish acting,
It seems like the only thing you haven't drained is my bank account.
cheap effects, including how you can see Mario and Luigi simply crouching before they pop into view here, or even how there's visible green screen edges and reflections from poor lighting, which obviously isn't a problem that I have, on top of mistakes left in the final edit. Nice save there, Luigi.
Thanks. Yeah, it's kind of my thing.
All of which lines up with a statement that Mario's about to make.
I am so glad we spent our life savings on this commercial.
The brothers clearly don't come from money, which is further reinforced when we later see that they both live at home and share a room in a packed house, on top of driving this hunk of junk around, or try to anyway. Which, side note, is such a great reason to justify this early platforming scene that is both a fun callback to the games, while giving us an early glimpse into Mario's more agile side. And that's not even to mention how the commercial also foreshadows the movie's climactic third act.
That's why the Super Mario Brothers are here to save Brooklyn.
And the Queen!
You caught that, right? They literally teased not just saving Brooklyn,
To save Brooklyn.
but even royalty too.
And the Queen!
Clever, right? And then they go on to tease how everyone comes together as a family at the end.
The Super Mario Brothers are your family.
And then of course there's the fact that the ad comes back at the most critical point in the film. This one commercial is putting in overtime with how much it accomplishes. And that cheap ad, combined with the brothers' cute reactions to it, instantly make the two incredibly likable. Not just with how proud they are of their modest accomplishment, but also how much they love and support each other, and how far they'll go to try and make their dreams happen, despite life finding a way to keep them down. Which is exactly why Spike enters the scene right here, to thwart them the exact moment they're feeling good about themselves, calling them
The stupid Mario Brothers!
Idiot.
And-
You're a joke.
while also setting up how small Mario feels, physically and mentally, along with Luigi's scaredy-cat demeanor.
He's 3 times your size.
Luigi, come on. You can't be scared all the time.
You'd be surprised.
Both of which play vital roles in their respective story arcs. all the while giving us more context about this world, and also doubling as a deep cut to Mario's real-world gaming past. So in just 5 minutes, we've learned about the immense threat that Bowser and the Superstar pose, along with who Mario and Luigi are, including their personal ambitions and their place in the world, at least as perceived by people like Spike, while also setting up their insecurities of feeling powerless or being scared. Say what you will about the overall plot, but this is remarkably efficient storytelling, which might lend to the overall quick feel. But another reason for that might be how the movie masterfully transitions scene to scene, even when cutting between 2 or 3 different groups of people in entirely different locations, by smartly setting up what's going to come next. Like when Bowser says this,
And now no one can stop me!
it immediately cuts to the people who will, in fact, stop him. Similarly, when Peach says,
I'll never let anyone ruin this.
it then cuts to the person she's talking about, who, incidentally, just so happens to be singing about her, while floating in what appears to be a star-filled backdrop, which is all too fitting considering what happens in the next scene.
There's a huge universe out there with a lot of galaxies.
And then in this instance, one character calls for another,
Mario!
before the scene fades away to focus on the other character, which is used to great effect in this specific case, as it highlights the trapped nature of both Luigi and Mario. Then, as Mario and DK make their escape, the movie seamlessly cuts to their destination in order to showcase Peach's perspective, with a focus on the sky helping to connect the 2 shots. And once Peach begins her assault on the wedding, a hard cut to that same action but from a distance helps to bridge another perspective shift back to Mario and DK, as we return to their struggles. Then we shift back to Peach again, just as they begin their ascent toward the battlefield, which perfectly sets the scene for when DK and Mario come to the rescue. Look, I could keep going for a while, but the point is that the movie is doing far more than it gets credit for to ensure a constant sense of forward progression. And it's really only when rewatching the movie, free of being distracted by the novelty of it all, that the pacing begins to feel right. But another reason why it works so well upon a second viewing is the realization of how every single action sequence isn't there just for the sake of being fun, but is an integral part of the story, and more importantly, Mario's character arc. The training montage is needed not just to acquaint Mario with the skills he needs for this world, but also sets up his perseverance as an important character trait. Then the Donkey Kong battle, which ostensibly is about proving his worth to earn the favor of the Kong army, is really more about Mario learning that his desire to just keep on going is actually a good thing. And then we have the Mario Kart scene, which of course is needed from a story perspective to get our heroes back to where they need to be, but is also about Mario failing once again despite his perseverance, leading him to his lowest point yet, which is when he begins to start doubting himself again, especially for putting Luigi's life at risk too. Which is what ultimately makes this moment during the final battle all the more powerful, with Mario now at his true lowest point, where in spite of everything he's done and the successes he seemed to have, it not only hasn't been enough, it's arguably only made things worse.
And the worst part? You're bringing your brother down with you.
It practically takes a divine intervention to remind him of his true self and break him free of the lie he started to believe. Not bad for a video game series that for 40 years has had almost no story to speak of. And when you think about it in a meta-adaptation sense, this is a pretty brilliant way of incorporating the real-life narrative that anyone who's played a Mario game has had, where it's only through enduring failure after failure can you finally succeed in the end.
Oh, yes!
Who knew there was a good life lesson hiding in those games all this time? It only took the Mario movie to find it. And the fact that it's able to do so and function as a movie, while embracing a quicker pace to evoke the spirit of the games, is actually a testament to how efficient Illumination was with their storytelling. But to pull this off, Illumination had to make some pretty smart changes to both the characters and their roles in order to fit this new story. But that's something we'll start exploring in the next part of our ongoing Mario movie analysis series, which you can ensure you don't miss by clicking that subscribe button and ringing the bell. And in the meantime, if you missed any of the 5 other parts we've already made, be sure to check out the playlist for the entire series on the screen right now. And with that, we'll see you in the next video.